All right, I'm gonna show you one more sketchbook. That's probably the largest one I have. I use this as, again, a challenge to myself. Since every sketchbook that I brought has a little bit of a theme going on, this was that. This was like, all right, I usually draw small. I need to scale up a little bit, either for details reasons or just to get used to drawing big. So yeah, this is a moleskin, and I think that's my daughter's drawing. My kids always draw in my sketchbooks, and those are my favorite pages. Yeah, this is the best feeling ever. Yeah, the first piece I did in this one was that challenge. I wanted to do something bigger with a figure, a little like kind of messier still, because I was afraid that when I do bigger pieces, I won't be able to do the same amount of shading since I have to cover more ground. So the goal for this piece was to be messy, have a lot of details, but also have these kinds of bizarre like flower field. They look like bubbles almost. It's a little darker in terms of like her expression, and she's like disheveled looking, but it works for me. So the next piece, this was done from a video. And this is the first time I started using videos as reference. Well, I've used reference before from video, but I really wanted to move away from using photo reference, especially when, you know, I'm heavily dependent on it. I see people use references in their works and I recognize the reference. I don't know if it bothers everybody else. It bothers me because I don't want that to be the case when people start being like, oh, I have the same reference saved on Pinterest. You're like, oh, great. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it's almost like a magic trick and somebody figures something out of the magic trick. So video, I think it's one step away from that if you don't have the option of creating your own personal reference for use. So this was a eagle and fox fighting, and I was just pausing in different frames and drawing that. And I think the big size helped me with like really working on the wingspan, the motion. I wish I did more of these. There's only one page. And then I went right ahead with some inks. I think it's photo reference. I want to say a few photo references. So the hands are not from the same model as the face or the dress. So the challenge here was to come up with a pose that, again, is using multiple references. I'm collaging in my mind. I don't really collage anywhere like on an iPad or on the computer. I usually don't stick to one reference. I have at least 2, 3. Again, you go away from the problem of using a reference in its entirety and then seeing it out of people's work. And also, it's a challenge to come up with a way to combine them where they work seamlessly together. This was photo reference, but I really wanted to make it look like it was live drawing. I wanted to make sure even the reference, I manipulate enough where it becomes almost my own, and then I obviously go one step further when I draw it, which is then definitely my own work. Some live drawing, I think I wanted to do more behind, kind of in this style, but for whatever reason, I didn't do that. There's definitely more of this, more superimposed poses on top of each other. I wonder if this is from Proko reference, actually. Again, I was playing with the framing here. This is a little small. I wish I blew it up a little more and just have a bigger piece here. But again, I'm getting accustomed to the paper size.
This lesson is from Eliza's style course. It's a bootcamp on developing your own style. In this course, you'll improve your line confidence, learn how to simplify something complex into a more personal, stylized illustration, and build a process to execute large, awesome pieces. Check it out at proko.com/Eliza.
Here, even though the figure is small, there's something cool about having this like entire pose on a kind of a wet surface, either like a very flat puddle or something that's flooded, and she's got a very nice reflection. And the space being so open and kind of calm, I think it adds to that. And this, even though this is moleskin, so this can definitely take some heavy duty shading and show it off. I kept it pretty flat. Same one here, this is pretty flat, even though the paper doesn't necessarily require that. More of these poses that I like, of the kind of pairing multiple life drawing poses next to each other. This is more playful, added some color. These colors I definitely like, kind of these muted, almost burnt looking colors. There's something nice about that, like lack of saturation. I was working on a poster idea, so this was it. Here, I wanted these like kind of twin energy and roots growing out of that. I didn't develop this, but I might actually go back and do something more to it. I think I liked where it was going and I didn't want to ruin it. So I figured I'll scan this and start experimenting digitally. I've done a lot of kind of these partial faces, almost like masks with roots that year. I want to say this is when I did one of the posters for Tool that was like that. There's a lot of roots on face. It almost looked like veins. This is another piece that I was working on. Same idea, kind of this like alien women. I was doing a collab with another tool artist, Carly, and we're still working on this. It's been a few years, but good things take time. More live drawing. I really like this. I think this is probably the page that when I was doing it, I was like, all right, this feels about what I wanted to do in the sketchbook, just more creative live drawing, and really wanted to like push the feeling of flesh, and especially like, you know, when things are flooded with blood, like the feet here because of the tension. I did more of those pages with multiple poses on them. It looks like it's the same model, but these are all different people. It's almost like a fake live drawing session. I don't know. This, I don't really like. I just like that I stopped working on it. This is where I ended with this one. But it's in here, so there's something to it. I think my kids were drawing this part, so I enjoyed this part. This, we can ignore. Here is a little bit, again, of that idea of different poses, but a little more, almost like a comic book strip. Even more of the panels, and then things coming out of the panels. We did a lot of this in art school, paneling. I think it was a good storyboard exercise to like have stuff being paneled like this, even in live drawing, just so that you get used to the idea of sequential drawings and things working with each other, kind of playing around with where you zoom in, where the camera is, what do you include, what you exclude, what mood you get out of that. So here I was going for kind of a mysterious figure, and then you're getting a glimpse of their hands interacting with the body. But again, these are all live drawing based, so not a lot of story necessarily, but a lot of story that could be interpreted after the fact. So you can be very vague with your work if you wanted to. You don't have to be super concrete. And I think the lighting wasn't this way. I added this idea of kind of this dark shadows, the body being illuminated. Going back to what I usually do, which is pencil and shading. And one of my first sketchbooks ever was very much like a fashion one. There's a ton of exploration of garments and layering. I want to say I was going back to that idea here. More live drawing. Hands feel a little rusty, but that's okay. As you can tell, I don't like drawing on the back of the paper. This is just for archival reasons. So I feel like sometimes I have a drawing that's really nice and then I end up using medium that bleeds through and then I ruin the front. I just don't run into that problem when I don't draw on the back. This is a cover I did for Poison Ivy. So I started with a pencil piece and then I ended up, I think this is brush and ink. And then I did a little bit of alcohol marker. And then I took this, scanned it, and did a digital pass. That's like it's like very neon, very trippy looking. This was a piece I did for 3D Total. They commissioned me for one of their publications. I think it's not out yet, actually. Might be by the time this comes out, I'm not sure. This was for Catwoman, another cover that I did. I just factor in that I'm gonna do a digital pass, so there's a lot of things I didn't include, like numbers here. I didn't have the numbers yet. There was like a specific thing I had to write down, and I needed to just have the sketch ready. So I was like, I'll fill this later. Just a skull. I think that's the last one in here. What I found the most successful were these superimposed live drawing. I really liked that, and I think the format allowed for a lot of things to be on top of each other without them fighting. I'm not fighting for space. I'll probably continue doing a lot of that. Probably take the live drawing and just have multiple collage drawings on top of each other. This helped me a ton when I was doing kind of story ideas, like just trying stuff on one page. I really enjoyed that. With this and also with this. This is not the first time I've done this, but I think it's one of the few times where I deliberately drew this. It wasn't like, oh, I would just add a panel here. And I was like, oh no, I'm gonna do paneling just for life drawing. This too, I find particularly successful. This is the goal for here was scaling up, more details, going away from the small size, which is fine, but again, it's definitely a goal to draw bigger. But baby stepping into anything to me is good because instead of going from a small, tiny sketchbook to a large canvas and then feeling a little bit defeated if the result is not the same, it's better for me to build to that moment so that I'm very well equipped once I go super big, sometimes mural size, because it's important to feel confident in your skills. You know you have the skills, it's just literally practice. What I wanted to tackle with this course is to talk about style and how to dissect it and how to come up with your style. You develop a style just the way you would speak. It's your voice. It's like a visual voice. There's a method to developing your shorthand and your visual language. Explore, experiment, you try new techniques that either speed up your process or make things more fun and more interesting. Pick and choose what you like, and eventually your style will just shine through your work. If you're interested in the course and finding out more about it, you can find it at proko.com/Eliza.